The Shining Mountain, a calming bedtime story inspired by chapter 17, Gospel of Matthew. There was a place beyond the villages, beyond the noise of the crowd, where the hills whispered ancient songs and the wind smelled like pine and starlight. It was here, in the quiet fold of the mountains, that Jesus would often retreat. And one morning, just before dawn, he invited three of his friends, Peter, James, and John, to come away with him. They didn't know where they were going, but they followed. The path rose gently, winding over moss and warm stone. Before sunrise, the world was hushed and blue, as if holding its breath. At last, they reached a high place where valleys stretched below and the sky opened wide. Then, something happened, something they would never forget. As the disciples watched, Jesus began to shine, his face radiant like morning light, his clothes dazzling white. A soft, glowing light surrounded him, and the disciples fell to their knees in awe. But the wonder had only begun. From the glowing presence beside Jesus appeared two figures. Though the disciples had never seen them before, their hearts somehow knew their names. Moses, the one who spoke with God on Mount Sinai; Elijah, the prophet who rode the fiery chariot to heaven. And there they stood, talking with Jesus, their voices soft as wind through leaves, their faces full of peace. It was as if time had folded in on itself, and all of heaven had come close. Peter, trembling with joy and wonder, blurted out, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." But even before he finished speaking, a bright cloud descended around them, not heavy or cold, but radiant and full. And from that cloud came a voice, not loud, not frightening, but rich and deep like distant thunder, softened by mist. "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." The disciples fell face down in awe, covering their eyes, their hearts pounding. But then they felt a touch, a gentle hand on the shoulder. Jesus. He was back to his familiar self, his face kind and calm. The light had faded, but the peace remained. "Get up," he said. "Do not be afraid." As they made their way back down the path, the mountain still glowing in the distance behind them, Jesus told them not to speak of what they had seen. Not yet. Not until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. They didn't understand. Not fully. But they trusted him. Along the way, they asked about Elijah. And Jesus explained that Elijah had already come, in the spirit of John the Baptist, and not everyone had listened. The disciples nodded, remembering, slowly beginning to see. At the foot of the mountain, a crowd had gathered, and from the center of that crowd came a man, his face lined with worry, his voice shaking with urgency. He knelt before Jesus and cried out, "Lord, have mercy on my son. He suffers greatly and often falls into fire or water. I brought him to your disciples, but they could not heal him." Jesus looked at the boy with deep compassion. He turned to the crowd and gently spoke of faith. Not just big faith, but true faith, like a mustard seed, tiny but full of life. Then Jesus walked to the boy. The wind stilled, the noise faded, and with a single word, Jesus healed him. The boy stood still, peaceful, his father's eyes filled with tears, the kind that fall when joy and relief arrive all at once. Later, in the quiet, the disciples asked why they had not been able to heal him, and Jesus answered simply, "Because you had so little faith. Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move,' and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you." That evening, as twilight settled over the land and the stars began to glimmer, Jesus and his disciples arrived in Capernaum. There, some temple collectors came and asked Peter whether Jesus paid the temple tax. Peter said yes and went to speak with Jesus. Before Peter could explain, Jesus gently asked, "What do you think, Simon? Do kings collect taxes from their own children or from others?" Peter answered, "From others." Jesus nodded. "Then the children are free, but so that we do not cause offense." And then he smiled with a twinkle in his eye. "Go to the lake, cast your line, take the first fish you catch, open its mouth, and you will find a coin. Use it for the tax, mine and yours." Peter did just that. And just as Jesus said, the coin was there, in the mouth of a shimmering fish from the quiet lake. It was just enough. The day ended with the mountain glowing in memory, a boy healed, and a mystery from the deep. The disciples didn't understand it all, but they had seen his glory, heard the voice, and felt his gentle hand. Now, dear one, close your eyes. Let the mountain light rest in your heart. This is my son. Listen to him. You may not understand everything, but you are safe. You are seen. If this brought you a moment of peace, feel free to subscribe for more calming content each day. Now, dear one, as you close your eyes and let this day slip away, remember the one who does not break the bruised reed, the one who heals gently, who teaches with wisdom, who speaks with calm. He is the Lord of rest, the comforter of the weary, the keeper of your soul. May your dreams be filled with golden fields and quiet streams. May your heart rest in the peace of knowing you are seen, loved, and called family by the one who walks through grain fields, still speaks truth, and always offers rest. Good night. Sleep peacefully in his embrace.